Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Year-End Awards. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, how are you? Post-Christmas holiday, pre-New Year's, we're about there. We're at the end of the year already. 2023 is upon us. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, man. Feeling so blessed, Brad. As always, it is more than exciting to be with you. I can't believe it's already the end of the year, man. These holidays just perpetually sneak up on me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, it is that MYE season. It is time for our year-end award. So holidays were great. Obviously got to celebrate my mom's birthday. She's a Christmas Eve baby, so it was just wonderful to be with her and to celebrate her and to see her being loved by so many people. So I have absolutely no complaints. Times are great right now. And like I said, I'm so excited to be recording with you once again. It feels like it's been a while, but I'm glad I can see you. And I think we got something really great in store with this episode. How about you? How are the holidays? How's break? Give me all the details.
Break is great. I made more work for myself. Happy to be doing it, but it has been strange not having a ton of stuff to do. So I've made it a point to find a ton of stuff to do. It has been otherwise very relaxing. I've had a couple of nights. Jess and I got to go on a date night. First real date in about 3 years. Outside of going to a movie here and there, we went on a date, which was amazing. And just really enjoying our time together, our time off, like you said, trying to appreciate what we have while we have it and soak it all in while it's here. Freya, seeing her face. Santa was really good to her this year. And it was an absolute blast being able to open stuff with her and just get to see her joy and her love of everybody around the holidays. I'm convinced she had more fun giving the presents to mom and dad than she did getting the presents, even though she was handing them to us and then turning around to look at what was for her. It was definitely one of those deals. Yeah,
we can do both, right? We can give and we can receive. That's okay.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely, I get more joy out of giving. I love the holiday season. I love just, I don't know, the general atmosphere around it. Now, I say atmosphere knowing full well we live in Arizona, Tyler. The atmosphere, the literal atmosphere is pretty nice. We've had rain, we've had some chilly evenings. That's kind of it. It's been great. Last week, I saw a winter weather advisory pop up for us, and it was, it was going to be a high of like 55, and everybody in Arizona is like, "Oh man, we're gonna have to bundle up." And
that's
yeah, right.
It's too cold for me. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I was looking in the Midwest, and I saw I wanted to at school. It was the last week of school. Use the insane range. I was like, we're going to look at the standard deviation. We're going to review some stuff. And I wanted to look at the range of snowfall in De Pere, Wisconsin, where my parents and my brother, sister and niece live, sister-in-law. They were supposed to get 5 to 8 inches of snow. 5 to 8. That's a lot. In Ishpeming, Michigan, where Jess grew up and her grandmother lived and her mom lived, they were supposed to get between 5 and 20 inches of snow. Tyler, the range of 5 to 20 is absurd. Not knowing if you're going to have 5 pieces of pizza or 20 pieces of pizza. That's a lot of pizza to have it be in inches of snowfall. Guess what they ended up getting?
Oh, I'm going to say 3.
36.
Oh,
36 inches of snow. 36 inches of snow.
I don't even know how to adequately put that in my what does that even look like? You just can't go out, right?
Yeah, no, people go out. They probably didn't even cancel school. Yeah, 100%. Okay. You just shovel off your car and you get to work.
Okay, I'm like picturing like Jake Gyllenhaal Day After Tomorrow.
It's bad
type scenery.
If we have 2 inches out here, stuff shut down for a week. Like life stops, people die on the roads. It's crazy. I'm so thankful I live in Arizona, Tyler.
Yeah, it's a great place to be for many reasons. But yeah, man, the Suns have a new owner. I have Bloodline merch now, thanks to someone I know. So it's just like you said, just a lot to be joyful for, grateful for, and that includes a lot of great wrestling this year.
Incredible wrestling. Also, Eddie is watching over us right now next to the FDR figs.
Let's
Thank you.
go.
Thank you for that. Let's
Absolutely.
talk some wrestling, and let's start in the WWE. So, for those of you listening or watching, the way we're going to do this is we're going to go through WWE picks for Breakout Star, the event of the year, match of the year, segment of the year, moment of the year, wrestler of the year, male and female, and then our biggest question for WWE going forward. And then we're going to do the same thing for AEW. So feel free to go to the chapters and skip to your preferred parts if you don't want to watch the entire thing or listen to the entire thing. We're just really appreciative that you are here. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
Tyler, let's
Yeah,
go breakout star of the year.
yeah, man, let's do it. And to your point about gratitude, you and I were talking a few minutes ago before we got on air, and it seems like everyone is releasing a year-end episode. Every wrestling podcast, of which we're learning there are many, are doing this. So hopefully, we'll obviously cover some of those signature topics, like you mentioned, Brad, but then also provide some maybe a unique take or several. So yeah, man, let's go. Breakout star of the year. I am feeling great about my pick here. I'm going with Gunther. I know he's maybe not the traditional breakout in terms of being a younger person who's now just making his name on this biggest stage. But might I remind you, Brad, in a different WWE, led by a different individual with a famous three letters associated to his name, VKM, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. When we saw Gunther, then Walter in Vince's WWE, he was getting squashed at Survivor Series. I think he was the first person out on Team NXT.
So crazy.
Right. I think this was maybe 2018, 2019, right? That was the Keith Lee Roman
Oh,
Survivor
that's right.
Series
Yeah.
match. Yeah, that was where NXT performed really well, minus Gunther being squashed. So if you fast forward years later now, right? Gunther is one of the best IC champions we've had of this generation. I
Maybe
think his
ever, man. Like
maybe ever
he
at this
has to
point.
be in that conversation.
His run has been so critically acclaimed by the IWC. His matches have been fantastic. The dude can work with anyone, right? He does great against Ricochet. I know we're going to talk about his matches with Sheamus. I mean, he's just had a really fantastic run. What I love is that I viewed him as being a massive star that could draw money on Mondays and Fridays, and actually seeing this come to fruition, recognizing that we got to see him in Tucson. Like Gunther went to a live show in Southern Arizona against Ricochet, nonetheless. I just love that we're getting to see him shine, and I think he has outperformed uh, what I thought his run on the main roster could look like. He's totally outperformed that. I think this is just a stepping stone for him. IC champion now, but I could absolutely see him being inserted in the main event title scene without batting an eye. So stoked for him. He is my breakout star of the year. Who you got?
I'm taking Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn debuted in the wrestling world in July of 2002. He is not new. He is not a new star, but this is Sammy's coming out party, I think, here. He has been buried in the mid card for too long. We knew him as El Generico. Then he had his short haired Sammy run. He's always been tied to KO. He still is, and that's the biggest story going into this bloodline feud. And people have embraced the honorary Oos. It's mostly due to this story, but it's Sammy's storytelling within it, his facial expressions, his acting ability, his body language in certain situations, and his in-ring performances. He's an incredible wrestler. He's an even better out of the wrestling sphere actor, entertainer, performer. I just want nothing but good things for Sami Zayn right now in WWE, even though he's been there for years, even though this is his 20th year wrestling. He's my breakout star for 2022 in WWE.
Well said. And to your point, this may be a lot of fans' first experience with Sami Zayn. He's been sort of in that mid card obscurity for a while, but he's never
Yeah.
been put on quite this level. So I think Brad, you and I have admired his work for several years, but for a lot of people, I think they're just experiencing his brilliance. So I love your pick. I have no gripes there whatsoever.
Yeah, I debated it. Gunther felt like a really clear pick, so I went a different direction because I knew you were going there. Even though I
I'm,
totally agree.
I'm not.
I want Sammy to get his flowers.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. He absolutely deserves his flowers and then some. This might be a area where we disagree. So in terms of premium live event of the year, which show did you go with?
I was going to go with what I know is going to be your pick. Clash at the Castle was incredible. I hated the ending so much that I took it off my list. I'm going with
Still
Survivor
mad.
Series. I loved
Good
both
choice.
War Games matches. There was only one match in that card that I thought was an absolute clunker, and it was the SmackDown Women's Title match. I did not enjoy it. I did not think it was very good, but it happened, and maybe they had an off night. I don't really care. It was there. It was fine. When you put it next to everything else that was on that card, I have a hard time saying that this wasn't my match, or my PLE of the night. The women's war game match I thought was probably match of the night. It was incredible. There were some moments in there that weren't super clean, but the storytelling in the main event was so good, with the feud between everybody in the bloodline and all the people that are on the other side with Drew and Sheamus and everybody over there. We have all of those dudes that have some sort of beef with the bloodline, but then we have within the bloodline just Sammy still not being very trustworthy. And at the end, we get Sammy being embraced after taking out KO, which was something that was clearly really emotional for Sammy, which is also why he's my breakout star of the year. Moments like that, it was so good. I left on such a high after that, which is a weird thing, because Tyler, I was cheering for the bad guys. I was so happy for the bad guys.
We
I
all were.
wanted good things for the bad guys.
Yeah.
The bloodline is as close to the attitude era as we're going to get, in terms of having like these bad dudes be beloved, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
bad dudes, but kind of baby faces. I think
yeah, yeah.
everyone I interact with loves the bloodline. No, I've not met anyone who says negative things. But I know, like you
No.
said, it's not that the character is supposed to be bad, but they are being cheered in every city as baby faces.
Well, it's because they're being authentic, I think.
Yeah.
It's not because they're being bad, it's because they're being themselves. It's Roman going out, this is what I'm going to do. I am the best in the world. Look at me. Look at
And
my
this
bloodline.
guy was booed in every arena 4 5 years ago. Like, I think we view Roman as, oh, that first Roman run was ages ago, but that
Yeah.
was pre-pandemic, not that long ago, that he was a very divisive figure. And now, luckily, I think we've all come around and just realized, oh yeah, this dude is amazing. And finally, we've gotten the Samoan badass character that we dreamt of. Only shame is, imagine if he were this way, years ago, and we had maybe an 8-year run of him being head of the table, not just this current run. But regardless, it's amazing, man. The 2 shows I went to this year with you in Tucson, and then to a SmackDown over the summer, Bloodline merch city, man.
Yeah.
They're just, it's just Bloodline everywhere. Hats, tees, hoodies.
Yeah.
They're over.
My final thoughts on the card. The AJ Styles Finn Balor match was a really, really good wrestling match. It was not my favorite match. It was way too slow paced for guys that are not slow paced individuals, but I thought all of it made sense, and it was a really good match. It wasn't the best match in the world, but it was a really good match. I don't think that Theory Rollins Lashley match gets nearly enough love for the US Championship. That match freaking ruled, man. I know we talked about this after the fact, but that match was incredible. I love that match. That was on the list for me for match of the year. It wasn't high on the list because there was some incredible matches this year, but it was definitely on my list. I thought between that match and then the main event, what a way to end. What a way to start with the women's match and then AJ Finn. And then in the middle, it's bookended by Ronda and Shotzi. And at least it had a championship on the line. So I thought, I don't know, man. I thought Survivor Series ruled.
Yeah, man, it did. Well, I love you like a brother, but I'm going to tell you you're wrong,
Mm.
because Clash at the Castle on September 3rd, I have my information here, from the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales, 62,000 people. Brad, you know how much fans and audience participation and reactions mean to me when I'm watching my wrestling. This crowd was just molten levels of hot for this show. I agree with you that the ending was definitely a head scratcher. I still believe Drew McIntyre should have won. Austin Theory even made an appearance in the main event. So they had it right there, Brad. It was a layup for Theory to cash in, but then Drew pins Theory, Drew McIntyre, that is. So then Roman drops, I don't know, maybe one belt, hopefully not both, but doesn't have to get pinned in the process. I agree with you. Didn't like the ending, but we got the debut of Solo, and now he's part of the bloodline, and I think has been a really invaluable piece of that
Yeah.
equation. However, I'm going to bring up your example here to try to convince you on this. Drew versus Roman was an absolute spectacle, even if we disagree with the finish.
Incredible match.
Incredible match, but we also
Second best match on the card.
We had two match of the year candidates on that show that weren't the main event. We saw Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle. And we also had not Drew McIntyre, Sheamus versus Gunther for the IC title. So I think we had matches that were just 4 to 5 star easily. You also had Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler. You had Damage Control in a 6-woman tag. So you had a nice card there. But between the Sheamus Gunther, Riddle, Seth Rollins, and then such an epic main event that had everyone in that stadium and then all of us on our couches just biting for every near fall. To me, this show felt so unique. The crowd was so invested, and I just loved everything about it. This show was really special to me. I think I'm going to go back in 2023 just to watch this.
This was this the Liv Morgan Shayna Baszler match that led to controversy at the end because it was such a dumb finish? Or was this I can't remember if that was before that or that was the Ronda match.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah,
exactly. And then Ronda ends up obviously getting her revenge or comeuppance after that. But yeah,
I do remember this. Here's what I remember.
Brad, even the poster. How
great poster.
How exceptionally cool is that poster?
Man, the Judgment
Day. Okay. You notice I didn't mention that. I was hoping you forgot about that.
Was Rollins Riddle? Was that match 1 or 12? I don't know which one of their 50 match series.
Wow.
It was.
Okay.
Which is why I didn't pick it. There was a lot of rinse repeat. The 6-woman tag match, it's just different combinations of the same people over and over and over again. That might have been the first one, and this is in hindsight. So I think looking at some of these things, it's like, but I've seen all of this. It might have been the first time we saw it, but I've seen it so much since. I don't care as much about this card because all that came out of this one is more of the same. It feels like we just got the same things over and over and over again. And I feel like maybe it's just lazy storytelling because they went, oh, that was good. Let's just do it again exactly the same way and not change a thing. Really? Really? Because Mysterio is still beefing with Judgment Day because his son's there. And that makes sense. But Edge is going to come back and beef with Judgment Day because he's been doing that for 3 years now. I just... Like he came back at the Royal Rumble and started feuding with Judgment Day before he started it. I'm convinced that's what happened. That's the storyline I'm going with. So I think actually one of the best matches on this card wasn't on the card. The pre-show match was so much fun.
Okay.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Now that being said, we will be talking about this later on.
I know we are.
Actually, right now. We'll transition right now.
Please tell the people what's on your mind with this next category.
Match of the year. My match of the year was actually from this card, Gunther versus Sheamus.
Let's go.
And it was because of the build. It was because of the build the week before. I loved the stare down in the ring, and then everybody fighting around them without moving. And we got it again. The epic stare down.
And this was the debut of Fabian Eichner. This is the first time we got Imperium. Brad, Imperium was
taking
back.
My watch off.
Even your watch is excited about
this.
Yes. Imperium was back. Fabian Eichner debut. I mean, Brad, this was an absolute, not to get all Dave Meltzer about it, but this was a 5-star. This was an experience.
Yeah.
And you could argue, okay, maybe Sheamus should have won. I'll hear that. But man, if this wasn't some of the best wrestling I saw all year.
Yeah, I think that was part of the reason that I'm more down on this card. You got an opportunity for one of these belts to change. Am I glad it didn't change in hindsight? Yeah. But when you have two UK stars doing the first UK stadium show in, what was it, like 20 years or whatever,
Long time.
you have all that time. The place is packed. You have all the special stuff done for it. You're going to tease us and take it away. I struggle with that a little bit when you don't give them something. The something they did get were two of the best matches of the year, especially in WWE. But man, I really wish I would have seen a change for Gunther and Sheamus. By the end, it didn't even matter anymore. The thing that I loved so much about this match is that it didn't matter about the belt at the end. It did in the beginning because it was Sheamus has never won the IC belt. That's the only thing left on his list. I believe China has more title reigns than Sheamus, which is something I was thinking about today.
Yeah, the ninth wonder of the world.
Yes, if Sheamus can win this, he ticks that off. So A, UK, so he's a baby face automatically. B, became a baby face because he was still working kind of heel, and he's Sheamus, so he's always a little bit like that. You know, he's kind of like Randy Orton, could be bad at any given moment, and he's there just getting absolutely cheered. Hometown hero, can't quite do it, and by the end we want to see him win, and then he doesn't. And the thing that I thought was so cool is we just wanted to see him win by the end. We didn't want to see him win the belt. We just wanted him to win. And I thought that was like, they had us there. That makes it such a good candidate for match of the year.
Absolutely. And frankly, Sheamus was one of my candidates for breakout star
Yeah.
of the year. Again, kind of viewing that category in a maybe an unconventional way. Sheamus just had arguably the best year of his career. I mean, the man's been doing it for some time now. We're familiar with this guy, but he had just I mean, banger after banger after banger. Like that's his gimmick on Twitter now, right? He just had an amazing year, and I do hope he gets gold around his waist in 2023.
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, well, Brad, this one is much earlier than September. I am going back to WrestleMania, specifically night one. I have to choose Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch here. This match, I'm just still so giddy about it. We got the epic entrance from Bianca. We got an HBCU performing at WrestleMania
Oh, that
for
was
the
so
first time.
good.
Yeah, I think it was Texas. Was it Texas Southern
Yeah, I
University,
think so.
TSU, I
Sounds right.
believe? Yeah, so that made my heart so happy. And then the match itself was just impeccable. Becky Lynch, just, I mean, what more is there to say? She's an absolute megastar. And the fact that we got to see Bianca get her revenge, right? I think you and I were both still scarred from Becky defeating
20 seconds
Bianca.
earlier.
Yeah, 20 seconds, right? At SummerSlam, if we can remember that far ago. But Bianca gets her revenge. They get time, the entrance, the KOD. Brad, do you remember this KOD?
Yeah, Bianca was her face was all jacked up and just did a KOD from space.
From space, arguably
Yes.
not even. I'm gonna stop saying arguably the greatest KOD I've ever
Yeah, it was
seen.
incredible.
Even better than the one on Sasha the year before. One of my favorite matches in company history.
Yeah.
This KOD was special. This match was special. These two women are special. Easily my match of the year.
Yeah, it was incredible because the build-up mattered, the presentation mattered. It was WrestleMania. It was for the strap. The wrestling match itself was really, really good. All of it came together. I thought it was really, really an incredible match. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to segment of the year. This one was hard because this could be like something that happened. It could be a promo, a backstage thing. There were a lot of these that I thought like, wow, this could be a really good candidate for it. But I think both of us agreed on this one. It's the honorary Oos segment. It's the Sami Zayn with the bloodline. The why are you wearing our shirt? You shouldn't be wearing our shirt. And then Jay ripping it off of Sammy because he won't take it off and he's very confused. And Roman giving him the honorary Oos shirt and the crowd going absolutely crazy for it. All of us just uncomfortably sitting in our chair like, this is it. This is where Sammy gets his ass beat.
More of that coming up soon.
Yeah. I think that one's going to be painful to watch. And then I think they get booed out of the building from there on, the bloodline. Great alliteration by me there, but I loved this segment so much. I've watched this easily 20 times, just going back to watch all the little subtleties in it. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, we really can't emphasize it enough, man. The Bloodline are the biggest act in wrestling this year in particular. really cemented them as just being, I think, a faction, stable, whatever the proper term is. We're going to talk about them, I think, a decade from now as like, wow, this
Yeah.
was, not to draw NWO comparisons, although it's hard not to when they were rocking the red at Survivor Series. I just think what they're doing is something we're going to talk about for a long, long time. We're just seeing magic, man. The fans are so into it. It's the greatest thing in any company. They just hit so many home runs this year. I could not agree with you more. Segment of the year, choose any of them, but I will agree with you. The honorary Oos takes the top prize for us.
Tyler, I changed my moment of the year to be different, even though I think we both agreed this was the moment of the year. Go ahead and give us what your moment of the year in WWE is.
Yeah, well, I think originally I know we both had Cody. I think you had the unveiling at Hell in a Cell when we saw that really gnarly bruise.
Yes.
And I'm not going to argue with you on that one, right? I'll argue with you on the PLE, not on a Cody moment. However, for me, I'm going to go back to night one of WrestleMania. I want to say this was right after Becky versus Bianca. So great booking of a show. We got my match of the year, Becky versus Bianca. And then right after that, if I'm not mistaken, we got Seth Rollins versus Vince McMahon's handpicked opponent. The speculation was varied, right? Some people thought maybe this is Bray Wyatt's return. I think I don't know, the masochists on Twitter thought maybe Shane McMahon was going to be the opponent. But obviously, there was heavy speculation that this could be Cody Rhodes' debut. He left AEW. This would be a proper spot for him. Brad, I still get chills thinking about the Cody return at Mania, man. The lights go out. The audience is just left in flux, right? We see pyro, but it's really, really delayed. And then the moment when we hear wrestling has more than one word. Brett, I could hear the pop from Miranda. I was standing up. I couldn't
out of my seat. Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I don't even know. I'm speechless though. I couldn't believe this was happening. It was one of those moments where there could be so many examples this year of spots or matches where we're like, okay, this is why our friends think wrestling is silly, or this is why we'll never get X or Y person to watch this with us. But this is a moment where I thought, oh my gosh, this is a clip I would show to someone who wants to know why I love wrestling, or what is wrestling aside from just, silly Miracle on 34th Street fights. This is a moment I would point to, right? Cody getting this moment. He has returned from, what does he say, from undesirable to undeniable.
Yes.
The pop, the music, the presentation. It was as if he literally stepped out of AEW into Jerry World.
Vader,
the Cody Vader. I still love everything about it. I was as a Cody mark. I was so happy for him. I just love the dude. I love that he had this night. His opponent was perfect. We'll get to his opponent later. For me, nothing eclipsed this moment in WWE. I love that we saw the American Nightmare return on the biggest stage.
I knew you were going to pick this. It's also why I tried to pick something different. I was thinking Hell in a Cell when Cody took the jacket off and the whole arena went silent. Good Lord. So that was going to be it, but I don't think that I can reasonably ignore this tweet. At 77, time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever. Probably together. I'm not opening that. Vince McMahon retired, man. Vince McMahon stepping down, 50 years in the business or whatever, leaving. I could not believe it actually happened. I had thoughts that it was going to, but after the defiant stuff he was doing on Raw, the defiant stuff he was doing on SmackDown, just going up and going out to say the catchphrase and then walk away.
SmackDown, right? I think Raw and SmackDown.
He did both.
He was everywhere.
Yeah, because it was Vince McMahon is going to speak tonight, and we all tuned in. To find out what he had to say about these allegations, about what was going to happen in the company, and then he just basically said, "WWE Universe, then now, forever together.
Together.
Welcome." to Monday Night Raw.
Like,
And then he
who
threw
is
the
like
mic and
what kind of sociopath is this guy?
yeah,
He did it as a ratings ploy. What?
100%.
What?
100% because he's a businessman. That's all he ever cared about.
Man.
That's why I think it's so hard to lump him in with a political affiliation for me because I don't know that he thinks that way. Obviously, he has money, so he leans one way or another, or another. And his wife was in the previous president's cabinet,
Real cozy with a certain former administration, right?
but how cozy were Vince and his wife? So, like,
Not
I
very,
don't,
not very cozy. It would
I
seem.
can't exactly say that there's any kind of affiliation there when
Yeah.
he just sort of seems like, I don't care what you believe in. Is it going to make money? And that's sort of it. He's Michael Jordan. Republicans buy shoes too, and that's sort of it.
MJ did say that. Yeah, I've always been more of a LeBron guy, but that's a different episode.
but
Well,
I've always
we'll get to
I've
that.
always sort of appreciated that aspect of him where he's just like, if it's good for business, that's what we're gonna do. So for him leaving, it was a seismic shift. We couldn't stop talking about it. Do you remember the hope we had? And look at it now. I think almost everything that's on our list besides WrestleMania Night One is post Vince McMahon era stuff. Gunther would not have this run if Vince were in charge. No chance. The US belt wouldn't matter. The IC belt wouldn't matter. They'd be floating around again and just
think of the talent that's back.
The
right? Damage control.
The 24/7 championship is currently in the trash can.
Yes.
Thankfully. And you know why? Vince left. And it's the best thing that could have possibly happened to the ratings. SmackDown did like 2.5 million last week. Holy good Lord. That's huge. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say that it's got to be Vince leaving. That tweet was like a seismic shift in the landscape of professional wrestling, in sports, hell, in terms of stock. There's just so much stuff that happened because of that one tweet in WWE. So I'm picking that as my moment of the year, even though it's not something that happened on television. It happened at the Twitterverse and around the product. It has to be my moment of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everything you said times two. It's still pretty unbelievable that it actually happened, and like you said, the way it happened so unceremoniously, was
excuses,
was surreal. But I'm also not mad at it for some of the reasons that you listed. So moving on to our final three, let's kind of pair these next two together, Brad, and then we'll get to the very last one. So Wrestler of the Year, and we're splitting it up: Wrestler of the Year in the men's division, Wrestler of the Year in the women's division. I can't even say I guess we agreed on both of these.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
And how could you disagree with these selections? We have Seth freaking Rollins on the men's side and the EST Bianca Belair on the women's side. Brad, you want to kick this off? You want to talk about how much we adore these two and the year they had?
Seth Rollins had a feud that it lasted most of the year with somebody he didn't respect outside of the ring. Made it part of storyline, and then it turns out that maybe Seth had a point. Now that Riddle is hopefully getting treatment and hopefully can come back clean and sober for the benefit of his health and his long-term career. Will he ever wrestle again? I don't know what the answer is to that. But he had a feud with him. This year, I think it was this year. Did he have the match with Roman this year, or was it 2021?
It was this year.
It was this year when he came out with the Shield gear and got
choked
out.
Yeah, that was the Royal Rumble, actually. That
was the Rumble, so it was early this year. Yeah,
January.
I was like, is it
amazing?
It feels like forever ago.
Put the belt on him. Like, he needs a title, a main world title run in 2020.
And then he got the title. We didn't get to see it on TV, I don't think, but we got to see it from some fan video of him swinging the belt, which was amazing. We need that again.
US belt.
He has had an incredible year promo wise. He has had an unbelievable year wrestling wise. He has been putting on Sheamus level banger after banger, right? Like everything he does is incredible. I said it earlier, this year that he hasn't been getting the respect that he has earned, but getting put into the matches with Cody, we know that feud's going to continue when Cody returns. At least that's what it sounds like the plans are. It's Seth freaking Rollins. I don't even think it's that close for me for anybody else in the company except maybe Walter, who has also been putting on incredible matches all year. And the second half of the year, you have to have Ricochet in that conversation. For right, like he's been
Of
involved in
course,
some of the best matches
this is music to my ears.
since the Vince departure, really since SummerSlam. Ricochet has been highlighted a lot more, and he's been incredible.
Yes.
One of my favorite salesmen in the company, we'll call him. That dude sells almost as well as anybody, probably better than anybody in the company right now.
Salesman. That's good.
Except Brock Lesnar is still my favorite
Sure. He's
salesman.
great at it. Yeah,
He's so good at. He's so underrated
he is.
at it.
But let's get back to Ricochet. This is I'm basking in this.
I need to say this part because Seth is up in that category.
Yeah, true.
Because when he looks like he just got murdered, he looks like a corpse in that ring. The stuff he was doing in that fight pit with Riddle, my God, Seth Rollins is so unbelievably good, and I need to see him with the title sooner than later, because you know how this business works. You're one injury away. We saw that. Hopefully AJ is okay, and hopefully it's a sprain, but looks like AJ got injured at the house show this weekend. I'm hoping that it's minor, but you never know what's going to happen. You never know. These people put their lives on the line for our entertainment. So I'm ready to see Seth get either the Universal or the WWE belt, hopefully from Roman. I want to see that rematch. I want to see a proper feud, a proper build. I want all of it, man. Like Seth Rollins is incredible.
Yeah. It really seems like at this moment, as we record at the end of 2022, there are really 4 leading contenders to be the person to defeat Roman, which, by the way, I remember us specifically having that conversation this time last year. Who is the guy to beat Roman? I think I selected Braun Breaker, which was perhaps a bit too premature.
We both thought he was getting called up.
Yeah, and I think we both thought Roman was for sure losing the belt in 2022, but he is in God mode and has not. I think there are 4 leading candidates though: The Rock, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, or Seth Rollins. To me, it seems like it has to be one of those 4, and I would not. Although perhaps I'm partial to Cody, I think Sami would rule. Seth Rollins seems like an absolute slam dunk of an option. The story is there, and the man just he doesn't miss. Not to totally take Carmelo Hayes' gimmick, but Seth just had an incredible year. Really, really, I don't know if underrated can be used in this case, but all the feuds you listed, Brad, the fight pit, the Roman match, the Cody feud, the man just was incredible this year.
I cannot stress enough that I don't want to see The Rock win a title.
Neither do I. Doesn't need it.
Cannot stress that enough. No. If there's a person on this earth that doesn't need it, it's him. It's DJ. Yeah. And I don't think he would want it anyway, because what was he going to do? Like not go film Black Adam movie again?
Yeah.
Rough.
So, haven't seen it. Still need to see that.
Not my film of the year.
No, not for many people.
No, Glass Onion, maybe. Tyler, who is your women's wrestler of the year?
Yeah, man, it's got to be Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
So I'm a pretty simple man. At least I like to be. I prefer my weather sunny. I like cats. And I just love Bianca Belair. She was my wrestler of the year last year, and she's a 2-time winner for me. I obviously spoke about her earlier with Becky Lynch. I just really, maybe it was us going to the house show in Tucson, Arizona, that just solidified this for me. But I remember Bianca being so unique in NXT. She never held gold in NXT. She had a really great takeover match against Shayna Baszler, which she lost. I think she passed out in Shayna's submission. But my point is to see Bianca's ascension from NXT to now. And even on the main roster, Brad, you remember, I think this was during the pandemic, she wasn't really used when she was first called up. I think for about 6 months. She was just sort of there. I think she was maybe in a mixed tag with the Street Profits with her real life boo, Montez. But nothing really became of that. And that's where I started getting worried. Like, man, I hope this isn't another case where an NXT talent just doesn't translate on the main roster or isn't even given a shot to translate. Bianca's ascension over the last 2 to 3 years has been one of, if not my favorite story, act, whatever the proper term is, to see in all of wrestling. I love her so much. I think she has really become a mega star this year. For us to see how kids in the audience were cheering for her,
Yeah.
how girls across the country of all different shades love them some EST. I'm specifically referencing my favorite 5-year-old in Southern Arizona,
I knew you were.
Freya Winchester. Like, man, it just makes my heart so happy. I think she's a total inspiration. And it's just so great to see her as a face of the company. So this was a no-brainer for me. I have to choose Bianca again.
I don't really have a lot to add there. It's hard to look at what she accomplished this year and not think it's her. There's nobody else on the roster that's even close. And now I will say that if had Becky remained healthy, I think that we could go like, oh, Becky is definitely in that running because she had an
Sure.
incredible year as well.
Sure. She's
Um,
amazing.
but just not being around is Bianca was there the entire time. Bianca was doing incredible things the entire time. We saw her do several feats of strength. She was even putting down a show at the house show, and
Yeah.
like those people were like, "Hey, you
Yeah.
paid money to come see us. We're gonna go all out. We're gonna treat it like it's WrestleMania." And
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
She was
So
in
if
that 4-way against Carmella, who we obviously hope is doing well.
yeah,
Carmella, Becky, then heel Becky,
Oscar.
and Asuka.
Yep.
Like that was my match of the night.
Or Kana. I
Or
don't know.
Kana? Question
Yeah,
mark.
Oscar.
It was great.
Oscar is she's one of my favorites. So I'm really hopeful that something really cool comes out of this. I think Triple H won't screw this up. I really believe that it'll be good. It seems like that there's a lot of creative freedom, and if it makes Oscar happy and more creatively fulfilled, do it. And because if people are more invested, it's probably going to be better. That's why I have hope for this Alexa Bliss stuff. Only because I think this is something she's been talking about for a while, and she's more creatively invested. I don't know what's going on with Bray, and it seems like Oscar or Alexa's doing old stuff with Bianca. But if this is the new feud for Bianca, cool. I love it. I can't wait to see it because Bianca's on an absolute tear this year, and she's definitely wrestler of the year.
Well said. Well, speaking of what we hope makes us unique, Brad, we're gonna close this chapter, this WWE chapter, with me asking you, what is your biggest question in the WWE universe heading into 2023?
Same question I have every year, Tyler. Who dethrones Roman? That's number one. That's the biggest question that I have. The second question that I have, because I think that's the obvious one, right? Like we both probably have that. Who is the one to dethrone Roman? And we have our predictions, but ultimately, that's if that's not the biggest question, I don't really know what is. But here's another one: how do they make the SmackDown Women's Title matter again? I've struggled so much with Ronda's run. I don't care about it like at all. Since Liv lost, actually since before Liv lost, when Liv had that weird ending with Ronda, at that moment I went, "Oh, I don't care about this anymore." Like I don't know, I was just sort of out, even though I love Liv. I would love to see Shayna take the belt, but that's not going to happen because Shayna just lost in that eliminator match, I think it was, to a very injured Raquel, who seems to be getting a push, which that'll be good. I don't know what they do to make that belt matter because it seems like all of their women's talent are somewhere in the middle, and then they have Ronda up here, and everywhere else is just sort of murky. There's no clear. This is the path. This is the person. Very much like the Roman Reigns situation, except there's no Roman. There's Ronda, and Ronda is not Roman Reigns. So, in a real life badass fighter sense, yeah, she is. In a professional wrestler sense, no. So I'm not really sure where they go with the SmackDown Women's title. And I have some other questions too about the women's division, but my biggest one there is the SmackDown Women's title because as we were just talking about, the Raw Women's title is doing just fine.
Right. Yeah, definitely seems like we view them on two different pedestals. That
Mhm.
Raw title, it feels so superior and just
Yeah,
matters more. And it's tough because you have the SmackDown Women's title on arguably the most prominent women's fighter, maybe of our generation,
yeah,
maybe ever. Like
maybe
Ronda
ever.
Rousey
Yeah,
was, and you could argue still is a really big deal in the world of combat sports. So yeah, man, it's pretty mystifying, but I think her character just hasn't resonated with a large portion of the audience for quite some time now. So
Yeah.
I love your question. I'm actually going to go more NXT based. My question that I really am eager to see answered this coming year
It's a
is,
Dragon Lee question.
yeah, it could be. It
Yeah.
could be. That's really exciting that he's going to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
My question though is, when will the NXT 2.0 OGs get called up, and how will they translate? So I'm specifically thinking, and then perhaps I'm gearing this. Well, no, I was gonna say I'm gearing this more toward the men, but I think Toxic Attraction
Yeah.
are long overdue. I think they could still be really great without Mandy, just them as a
Yep.
tag team on
Agreed.
Raw or SmackDown, right? It would rule. When I think of the 2.0 OGs, though, I'm specifically thinking of names like Grayson Waller, and the two names that I'm really more excited about, Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
I, in terms of a prediction, I could see at least one of them being called up in 2023. It would seem that maybe Braun is that dude. If you're a longtime listener of GI, you know that I've incorrectly predicted Carmelo's promotion, if you will, to Mondays or Fridays several times. So I'm a little shell shocked because I've gotten it wrong so often. But I want to know when they're going to get called up and how will they translate. Again, if this were a Vince McMahon regime, maybe I would be a bit skeptical. We know Mello isn't the biggest dude, even though he's absolutely fantastic. Even when Braun Breaker's been on the main roster, Brad, I don't know that it's translated into, oh yeah, this is the next guy.
Yeah.
This guy is going to take Roman's spot as being the face of the company. For one reason or another, it kind of blends in with the rest of the roster, at least in my opinion. And I love his work. I think he's so improved over the last 6 months in NXT. I'm just really curious when these guys and women get called up, because inevitably someone, I think, will be called up in the new year. How will that translate? Will they be treated with the same care? Will their characters be the same? With the new regime, I think we have a lot of room to be optimistic, right? You're going from a Shawn Michaels led brand to a Triple H led brand. I think Melo's still going to be a big deal. I think Braun Breaker will eventually be a main event talent.
Yeah.
I don't know about a Grayson Waller, but man, I just want to see Toxic Attraction. I would even want to see Casey and Kaden, the current women's tag champs. I think they could rule on Raw or SmackDown. So I'm really curious that crop of NXT 2.0 OGs. When do they go, and how does it look?
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I think we've had those questions for a while about Braun, right? I think, I don't know, for me, whenever I see Braun, I think his character needs time to cook. Like it's not done. It's not ready yet, but his in-ring stuff
He's been cooking. Chef Braun has been cooking in the ring.
Yeah, it's just
That's been amazing.
Like I think that's what you've heard me say several times is I just want to see the character development happen a little bit more. But other than that, he's like incredible look, unbelievable athlete. I think the Creeds are probably going to be likely if they try to do something with the tag division.
Those could be the guys that are called up first. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like they might be the ones to go first, but that's assuming that they're going to do something with the tag division. I don't know. It seems like every time they do something, they stop doing it and do something else. It's like, okay, there were Vikings here for a while, and then they left, and we debuted with this with Sarah Logan, but then I haven't seen her since, and it's just very up in the air. The Xia Li stuff is a little weird right now. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening on the main roster that makes me confused as to where some of these people from NXT that'll get called up will actually fit. I don't want them to get lost because we have Legato's up there now, and we have a bunch of smaller dudes that are on the roster. So I don't want Carmelo to go up yet when those guys aren't being used already, because Cedric's not being used nearly enough for my liking. Mustafa Ali isn't being used as much as I would like to see him used, outside of getting killed by people, because that seems like, hey, go there and get murdered by Bobby.
Right. And then cut amazing promos, cut fire promos on Twitter.
Yeah.
That leave us feeling hopeful, but then It seems like he's that hamster running on the wheel, right?
Yeah. And maybe something will happen, and it's not always going to happen with everybody. That's why there's multiple companies. So AEW exists for a reason. I saw like the Dragon Lee signing is a really good signing for NXT. It's a really good signing for WWE in general, because you're going to have him against Carmelo. You're going to have him against Axiom. You're going to have him against all these dudes that are going to be incredible matches. Dragon Lee and Braun is going to be great. So I think that's amazing, and he can go right away. And AEW made an offer to him, and they were like, "We got all these guys that are just like you, and you're going to get buried, lost in the sauce because there's too much talent on the roster right now." So I think your question about NXT's future is a good one. I was trying not to ask NXT questions because I had some about the women's division, but yeah, I think you had a really good question there, man.
Yeah.
I am ready to transition though. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it. We got All Elite Wrestling to dive into. We're gonna go ahead and start it with the same first category, Breakout Star. Who broke out this year for you, Brett?
Man, you know who broke up. I'm breaking up right now. I just sneezed and part of my brain came out.
That's right. You
Jamie,
muted yourself. You
yes,
did
I
it
did.
smoothly.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you took it because I tossed it to you going like, this is going to be bad if I can't mute myself. Yeah, man, Jamie Hayter. It's Jamie Hayter. I don't know what else to say. Jamie Hayter came out, God, it was Manager City. I'm out here for Brit, and eventually I'm gonna hoss people. And she came into the ring just going like 90 miles an hour, beating people up and taking L's. Earlier on in the year, it was just loss after loss after loss after loss, and then beating them up after the match or whatever. So I hated it. I hated seeing Jamie Hayter lose because I think we were all like, she needs to win. Anybody that's watched her wrestle, and not necessarily her promo work because we haven't seen a lot of it, and it's always been good. Is it great? Is it Brit? No. Is her in ring work better than almost anybody on the roster? Yes. So I don't care about her promo work when she go just beat the shit out of people. I'm fine with it. Jamie Hayter came out this year. Jamie Hayter is a current and deserving world champion. I love what she does in the ring. I love her presentation. She's this just a badass. It's amazing. And I'm glad because I wanted to see it earlier. I'm glad we're finally getting to see it now this year. Really happy for Jamie Hayter, and she's my breakout star.
Yeah, her rise has been so organic. We've obviously spoken at length about it on the weekly episodes. It's been wonderful. She's our champion, and she is her. It just yeah, yes to everything you said. I went a different route. I went to the tag team division, and when we're talking about AEW in 2022,
Yeah.
at some point the conversation has to go to the Acclaimed. I did not foresee this. I'm trying to even think back, Brad, to December 2021 and sort of where the Acclaimed were slotted, because certainly they were around. I think they've even main evented Dynamite against the Young Bucks before, albeit in a losing effort, but they've had some prominent spots. However, this year, they have become, I know we mentioned the Bloodline earlier, but the Acclaimed has become are I don't want to use the same words over and over again, but as over as the Bloodline are, the Acclaimed, I would argue, are just as over, just in a different way. Every episode of Dynamite they're on, it seems like they get the loudest pops. Obviously, we're going to AEW when they come to Phoenix in February. They're our champions now. They've just risen to a level that has been so cool. Like Jamie Hayter, absolutely organic build. What's been so great is that it really feels like we, the fans, chose them. It feels like we chose Jamie Hayter. We chose the Acclaimed.
It's a great point.
And the powers that be backstage eventually heard us and said, you know what? You're right. They need some gold around their waist. Obviously, we can talk about the music videos. The music video against Sting and Darby, the music video against Swerve in Our Glory, most recently the music video against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, the absolute ether. You're stealing money like it's Kurt Angle's wife.
Yeah,
I mean they're just on a tear right now. I want them to be champs. I don't want them to drop the belts, I think, until at least Double or Nothing. Of course, there will come a time where the scissor me daddy ass probably, isn't as
Not
mega
anytime
over
soon.
as it is now. But that we're not going to worry about that day, Brad, because
Nope.
that's not going to be anytime soon.
No.
I have a strong feeling they're going to be part of our conversation this time next year. I love Anthony Bowens and Max Caster so much. They are just continue to strap the rocket to them.
No, December 8th, 2021 was the Long Island Dynamite. And we got the vignette with MJF being a babyface. And it was Jurassic Express and Varsity Blondes versus the Acclaimed in 2.0. That's what the Acclaimed were doing in December of last year.
Wow.
They were on Dynamite. They were on the card, but they were teaming with 2.0 against Jurassic Express and the Varsity Blondes, who I think Griff Garrison just had surgery. I'd have no idea what Pillman's doing besides saying questionable things. I have absolutely no idea, but hard to argue with your breakout star. I thought of them. I have an Acclaimed hat I got for Christmas. I have an Acclaimed tee on the way. I know I'm getting the live event Acclaimed tee, and I already got Jess the Scissor Me Daddy ass shirt, which she only wears in private.
So you got 4 items of merch. I mean, if that's not a sign that they're over, I don't have it yet, but when the figures drop,
I'm going
to be all over it. It's gonna. They have to be in the next series.
The Acclaimed to Danhausen.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be broke.
The Hook eventually, whenever that. I mean,
yeah.
I think a prediction
Jamie Hayter
for
in the white gear.
2023. Yes, we are going to drop continuously absurd money on figures in the new year.
Yes,
the Acclaimed are so great, man. The
Yeah.
scissor. I mean, it's just money. I think this is also an act where if we showed our non-wrestling friends this, they would probably just shake their head and leave the room. But that's okay because we can scissor each other and move on.
Threw me off there.
I love this so much. I can't wait to see them.
Speaking of scissoring each other, we are both in agreement for the not the PLE but the pay-per-view of the year.
Yes.
Tyler, we both agreed Full Gear was the AEW pay-per of the year. Tell us why.
Yeah, man, no doubt. I think it's in part due to the talents we just spoke about. Jamie Hayter got her shining moment on this card. The Acclaimed obviously were already champs, but they effectively won their rivalry against Swerve in Our Glory at Full Gear. Jungle Boy went over. This pay-per-view stood out to me because it seems like, pun unavoidable at this point, a bit of a paradigm shift within the company. All the talents I just mentioned went over, and MJF finally became champion. So I think AEW and Tony Khan have been really savvy about the veterans that they've brought in, especially veterans from WWE. But I love that on this night, it seemed like those organic talents, a lot of those day one AEW talents got their moment. And I think that leads us to feeling very hopeful about what the next 12 months of their career could look like. I could easily see Jungle Boy becoming TNT champion at some point. Yep. Again, we don't want the Acclaimed or Jamie to drop for a long, long time. And MJF has his reign of terror, which I think is going to go well into 2023. So yeah, man, I love the booking decisions that were made at Full Gear. And I thought it was just a really, really well-rounded pay-per-view overall.
Yeah, I thought about the other pay-per-views, and there's some notable moments. Double or Nothing gave us Stokely Hathaway and current ROH Women's Champion Athena their debuts in AEW, but it also gave us such unbelievable matches, such as the Hardys and the Young Bucks and Kyle O'Reilly and Darby Allin, which was a good match, but Kyle and Darby Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb.
Yeah.
The Jericho Appreciation Society is the one that I thought about, man. Anarchy in the Arena was a blast. I loved that match so much. And it's mostly because of the intro, the pause, and then the shit's about to hit the fan. And then just Anarchy in the Arena, huge pop. The music played for like 20 minutes before Jericho broke the speaker system. I loved that. I thought this event had a lot of really good things. I also thought it had a lot of crap. But Jurassic Express defeated Swerve in Our Glory and Team Taz, the Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks. We had Punk beat Hangman Adam Page to win the belt. There were all kinds of things that happened on this card, and it's hard to remember that that's where Punk won the belt,
Right.
because like a week later he was hurt. So
Yeah.
it's
Snarly.
it's bonkers, because that it seems like eons ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. But CM Punk winning the strap, getting hurt, and then Forbidden Door being minimized because of his absence. There's just so many injuries that happened after Double or Nothing this year, leading to All Out, and then after All Out, which just, man, this company went through it from All Out until now, where people are starting to come back off of suspensions and injuries. It's like, and Adam Cole is still not back. The fact that we got that incredible of a Full Gear is pretty amazing. Full Gear ruled for all the reasons that you said, and for the reasons that were left in between for me talking about a different pay-per-view. But there were so many good pay-per-views and so many good events. One of our potential transition match of the year contenders was at Forbidden Door, and that was Will Ospreay and Orange Cassidy, which was just an incredible match. And right after Orange Cassidy came off of an injury, he debuted at that, I think it was the Dynamite or the Rampage afterward, to challenge Will. When that music hit and he came out and the roof blew off, like, absolutely amazing moment. What was potentially my moment of the year. My God, there was so much good stuff that happened in AEW this year. Let's start with your match of the year, though, Tyler. What was your match of the year?
Yeah, man. This
I
was
believe from Double or Nothing, correct?
Yes, this
Yeah.
was so tough for me. So I'll just give you my contenders and then I'll hopefully concisely get to my answer. I was very, very close to choosing Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay. The more and more I think about it, I really believe Orange Cassidy is my favorite wrestler in AEW. He's so unique. I get so much joy from watching him. It's either OC or Ray Phoenix. I'm still deciding. And also Jade Cargill exists. So that's important to me
Yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
she's Jade Cargill.
She's Jade Cargo.
She's
Yeah.
Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So Orange Cassidy versus Ospreay is a huge contender. I kid you not, before I knew of your selection, on my Google Doc, I put Jamie Hayter versus Sheeta as a contender for me. Maybe some recency bias, but maybe not, because that Dynamite main event was
My God.
all that. But there was another one, actually, another Dynamite main event from months ago that I don't think is spoken about enough. Do you remember Jurassic Express versus Team Taz versus Swerve in Our Glory? This is where Swerve in Our Glory actually won the belts.
Yeah. I remember that match.
Yeah, that
also an incredible match.
Also incredible. That moment, I'll never forget this, where heel Ricky Starks has the pin, and then it gets broken up, and the sheer disappointment in his face, almost to tears,
Yeah.
that it's over. The gif where he shook Powerhouse Hobbs out of excitement back when they weren't feuding. I was close to choosing that one because I don't think we've heard it on the numerous amount of year-end award shows that are available. However, I have to go with Double or Nothing, not CM Punk versus Hangman Page, not Thunder Rosa versus Serena Deeb, although that was a blast. But instead, I'm choosing the trios match. House of Black defeating Death Triangle. I love the budding trios division. I love the talents in this match. I know you're a big Malachi Black fan, as am I. I love Death Triangle is my favorite trio in the company. Period.
Yeah,
End
they're
of
amazing.
story.
Amazing.
If I'm remembering, and granted, I didn't rewatch this match back before we were recording. I just saw the highlights. There was that moment where there was a face-off in the ring. I think it was like Buddy Murphy and Pac, or Malachi Black and one of the Lucha Brothers, where they just sort of hit all the right notes for me. They had the stare downs. It was just that old cliche of styles make fights. I think that was very apropos for this match. So I loved it back in May at Double or Nothing, and it is still number one for me at the end of the year.
A great use of apropos. I thought about that. I can't remember what the match was called. I think it was just a death match, but it was the Bunny and Penelope Ford against TJ.
Yes, great shout.
That was so good and so bloody. Bunny's face at the end of that, when she took the barbed wire Queenslayer, just unbelievable visual.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
Penelope Ford just absolutely eating that table with her spine on the outside of the ring, which is probably why she was gone for 6 months. my God, that was such a good match. Underrated because I went into that match going like, I don't love the work of some of these people. I don't know what to expect here because sometimes it's like the best stuff on the show, and sometimes it's like could have missed it. And I always want it to be great for them because I love all of these talents so much, especially Anna Jay. I feel invested in Anna Jay because it's like we got to see her from the beginning, sort of rise. Right?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
saw her debut when she choked out Brandy,
yeah. We
and
did,
and
and
the belt
even
got
even
destroyed. And
yeah,
oh
and I think Ty was considered by many to
yeah,
be the most improved wrestler of the year
yeah.
last year. She was a huge talking point.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of really good stuff that has happened this year, and especially in the women's division. I thought Athena had great stuff this year. I love that she's just hossing people around. The eventual Athena Jamie slobber knocker match is going to be great, or have maybe that's the battle of the belts this year. Who knows? Um, for me though, it was Sheeta and Hayter, and I did think about Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay because that match was just absolutely incredible. And there was some stuff with United Empire that gets overlooked when they were doing stuff on Dynamite or Rampage. And
That pile
there,
driver onto Trent
good
from
lord,
the big guy. I think it's
Rapo-
Mark,
yeah,
not Mark
it was
Andrews. Mark Andrews is the tight end for the Baltimore Ravens,
it was
but
the Roppongi Vice stuff that they were doing.
yeah,
It was
yes.
all so good.
Danhausen is there, which I know makes your heart happy.
Man, breakout star of the year.
Danhausen,
Yeah, Danhausen's
you
showing up.
were on him early. All credit.
I love it all so much. That Sheeta Hater match was some Joshi stuff right there. Just absolutely laying into each other, telling a story. Sheeta wanting that belt back. Sheeta wanting to overcome everything. Hater going, no, I'm the best. I'm stronger than you. I'll take everything you got. And the best thing is that there really wasn't any interference. There wasn't any like I'm gonna smack you with a kendo stick when someone's not looking, that kind of stuff. It was just a hoss fest, and it was great because you had your baby face and your heel is really a baby face. It's like it's a bloodline situation. We just love her. We don't care if she's a bad guy. We don't care because we know Britt's going to turn on you, and then you're going to be a baby face anyway. Can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be it.
Has to
That
be
might be the
voiced.
feud of the year if they do that right.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be great. Um, but man, that match was just so incredible to me. It had stakes. It main evented a Dynamite, which I believe Sheeta had not done, which is criminal to say out loud. But Hikaru Shida she had a hell of a year, and I think people forget all of the stuff that she did this year with her series with Deeb to start the year to winning across the pond to doing she just did everything this year. I loved her in this match. I'm glad she got the spotlight with Jamie Hayter. I'm glad Jamie Hayter got the spotlight. This match ruled, main evented. Is it recency bias? Like you said, maybe. I don't think so, man. I can't think of another AEW women's match that I liked more than this one. And there were some good ones this year. So Sheeta Hayter for me, match of the year in AEW.
yeah, yeah. I love all that. Segment of the year. So it's man, it's hard for me not to choose this one based on the ramifications. I am
Mm.
going with CM Punk versus Hangman Page on the build to their Double or Nothing main event, specifically where Hangman mentions the line that I am not just protecting my belt against you. I'm protecting all elite wrestling from you. We know that CM Punk felt a way about that, and the shot about workers' rights. So man, I just in the moment I was like, oh my gosh, this is a fire promo from two guys who I really like. I had no idea, nor how could any of us, Dax Harwood included, it would seem that
Yeah.
that would maybe be. I don't know if that was sort of the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. But who would have thought that that would lead to just where we are now, and to brawl out, and then where we are now about the uncertainty of Punk's future. And obviously, we wish him to be healthy first and foremost. I think that's probably number one of why he's still out is the dude just needs to get right physically, let
Yeah. Yeah.
alone the
He had major surgery. So he's
yeah,
going to be
let
gone for
alone
a while.
the beef that's going on. And will he be back?
Hope so.
Who knows? I hope so because there is money to be made. But
Yeah.
I'm going to choose that. I thought that was a great promo. I thought that was a money match, and that they ultimately delivered in the main event there. How about you?
MJF, fire me.
Yeah, that's the
That
right
whole
answer.
thing.
That's the one. That's
It's
the one.
that segment. There were a couple of MJF segments that I thought could be it. I loved his return segment where he's wearing the Buffalo uni and acting like this huge baby face, and Mox coming out saying "cut the shit."
Josh Allen is the greatest quarterback
Yeah,
in
that's right.
history.
Yeah, I loved all of that. I thought that was amazing. I Yeah, man. There were a couple of other candidates here. Silly stuff like Danhausen doing the montage with Hook. Just the trainee montage when it was Hookhausen, which I believe was early this year. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff that it could be, but man, MJF, fire me, you effing Mark, fire me, cuts the mic, goes to commercial. We don't see him again for what, 4 months, 3 months, something like that.
That was special. You're
It was
you're very
incredible.
persuasive, man. I knew I was going to be persuaded, but actually hearing you remind me of this, it was just next level. Only Max could pull that off.
Yeah, well, speaking of Max, let's go to your moment of the year.
Yeah, so I am going to show Max some love. I chose his return at the end of All Out as my moment of the year, particularly for the pop that he got. We obviously didn't get a Max or an MJF promo at the end of All Out, but it was just such a juxtaposition, if you will, that CM Punk gets his title back from John Moxley in his hometown of Chicago. And then MJF, of course, we get like the lights out and the devil mask and everything. But the first note, Brad, of MJF's music playing, absolute bop of a theme, by the way. I love it so much.
Yes, so good.
That first note plays. Of course, we were all suspecting that the devil who appeared earlier in the night, getting the briefcase from the firm. Of course, we all suspected it was MJF. The walk, the shoes, the muscularity. It was pretty clear. But the fact that we got the moment, MJF's note plays, and for him to get the biggest pop of the night, even bigger than the hometown hero winning the match,
Yeah,
was just it was worth the price of admission. And then obviously we know from that moment on, he has taken the company by storm. When he made that reappearance at the end of All Out, I sort of sat back and said, okay, MJF is the guy. Like this, he is coming back to take that title. It is his moment now. There's just no denying it. And I think that's been proven true.
yeah, I agree with you. I love that he took it off of Dictator John, which is what he was calling him in the first feud.
2020.
Yeah, I absolutely love that one. The paradigm shift being banned in their match together.
Yes.
And then him going for the ring, but the ref's back is turned. So paradigm shift city. I love that.
Can't
match
believe
so
that
much.
was 2 years ago.
I know,
and I thought he had a legit shot to win back then.
Yeah, so did I.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm not mad at your pick at all, especially if you couple it with him coming out in the mask to what was it, the Rolling Stones song? I'm forgetting the name right now, but him coming out to that in the mask, and we got the debut of the firm. That was the firm's debut because we didn't know who was on that ladder. We're like, what's Hathaway doing up there? That was a weird ending to the Jade Cargill relationship, but Stokely being up on that ladder and taking down the chip, I thought was pretty cool. And then you put that on top of the promo at the end, which I didn't love that they did the video package where he took off his mask or whatever. I would have rather had him say nothing, take the mask off, and it go dark, and then the music play, because we already knew at that point. And I'd rather have the surprise be right when the music played. But I'm with you. I thought that was great. My moment of the year, just to change it up, was Cody Rhodes at the very beginning of the year, almost a year ago, in a week or so, less than a week, was the "So what do you guys want to talk about?" promo. He came out.
Did you practice that?
Absolutely not.
That was a solid impression.
Thank you. Sympathy for the devil. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah.
I have it on a playlist, and I couldn't. I just absolutely
it was well done. Tony does not shy away from paying big bucks.
No, and it was worth it in that circumstance, because now we got Wayward Son. So what do you guys want to talk about? That promo was Cody Rhodes coming out saying, these are the things I was thinking about. I have decisions to make. I done everything I can here. Bye, Felicia. But he gave us all that moment about like, I did all the things that other people say that they're here to do. CM Punk.
And he
For
wasn't wrong.
No, he did everything that he said he was going to do there. And he did everything that CM Punk said he would do. And for him to come out there and do all of those things and launch us into his return at Mania by making us go, okay, this is legit. This is what's happening. We got to say goodbye to him, but he also left us with something. And I thought that was really, really great. He also left it open that he might come back someday. And I hope he does. I hope when his career is winding down and AEW is still hopefully thriving and growing, that he can return and hopefully do stuff with the company that he helped build. Because I think that it would mean a lot to the AEW fans. It'd probably mean a lot to Cody as well. But that promo was a moment of the year for me in AEW, just because of the seismic shift in the landscape afterward and all the questions that we had afterward.
Yeah, and I don't want to get to, Braun returning to Cleveland about this, but I could absolutely, like you, see Cody returning to AEW. And, it had to feel, I wouldn't be shocked if he felt some type of way that he was being booed near the end of his AEW run, right? But if he were to come back, and I don't know when his WWE contract is up, right? But if he's to come back in 3 or 4 years, I think he would receive a mega babyface reaction.
I mean, as we record this right now, I don't know. Cena's probably getting a massive pop too, and we know how he was treated. So maybe that whole absence makes the heart grow fonder thing is really what it is. For all I know, that is that in a couple of years, Jericho is going to be walking out to break the walls down to be enshrined in the WWE Hall of Fame. So anything is possible. I'm just glad that we both agree that we had some really great moments this year, but we also have the wrestlers of the year. And Tyler, we agree on one, and I think the other one was a lot harder to narrow down.
Yeah, 100%. So in terms of the men's division, it has to be Jon Moxley. We were speaking about segments, Brad. I'm just realizing this now. It's been a busy week. The Jon Moxley promo, I think that was in January.
Yeah, I think
when
right.
When he returned from rehab.
No, that was
right. Wasn't February?
That was like October, I thought. Or was that when he left? I can't remember.
Wait, it was this year though, right?
I don't know.
Oh man, I could have sworn that was like January of this year. Well, at least we're given the
January 18th.
Okay, there we go. So
at least that's when this was published. So holy shit, that was this year.
Can I?
Oh man, I might have to retract.
Can I revise my without making this a 2-hour episode? Can I revise my Punk and Hangman answer and move Jon Moxley in there? I mean this with 100% sincerity.
No, I'm with you because that one mattered, man. That one really mattered.
You could hear a pin drop, and again, we talk about investing in
especially when that guy yelled whatever he yelled at John, and he told him to go fuck himself on air live.
And then the prideful walk he had as he frolicked around the ring, like, yeah, I get that. I'm back.
Get that piece. He said, "Go bleep yourself. Get that piece of shit out of here." And then just
the grid. Yeah, the grid.
Snake around the little smirk and the little slithery shoulder. John,
I'm not worried at all. Right?
I love it so much. Yeah,
I can't believe I forgot about that. That was so long ago.
Rick Ross might be up there for segment of the year too.
Bogle affiliates.
Yeah.
Man. For me, honestly, you could throw out some other names, and I would listen, but I think it has to be Jon Moxley. If the reports are true that this man foregoed like 2 or 3 vacations that he had planned because of the aforementioned injuries that you so astutely pointed out. Yeah, he main evented Forbidden Door. He had the title run, suspensions, the reports of him really being a locker room leader amongst all the turmoil. Again, his return from rehab, like I think all of us can relate to, for better or worse, knowing someone or even ourselves that have battled addiction. It hit all the right notes for me, man. His in-ring work was great. He really is the heart of that company.
Yeah.
It's Jon Moxley. You agree? I think
it's not even close, man.
It's not close.
The thing that I think is so great is that CM Punk was supposed to wrestle Tanahashi, if we believe those things to be true, which I think that came straight from TK. So if that was supposed to happen, that's really cool because Mox has been calling out Tanahashi for what seems like years. saying, "Stop ducking me, Tanahashi." And then he finally got to wrestle him. So I thought that was perfect. I thought that was amazing. So yeah, it's Jon Moxley. The wrestler of the year in terms of women was a lot harder for me to pick, which I think is more both both very telling about the level of talent in AEW's women's division, and very telling on the level of booking and time that the women are getting on AEW television. I'm sure my answers might be revised if I went out of my way to watch more Dark, but I just usually don't have time to get it all the time. I try, but I have to go to my way sometimes. It's half the time it's to go listen to Daddy Magic. So my who is money on commentary.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
My wrestler of the year, just because of all the big matches, because of the feuds, because of the quality in ring work, is Hikaru Shida. Shida has had a really great year. It's not Tony Storm's debut and winning the belt and having really great matches. It's not Jamie Hayter's ascension. And I wanted to pick Jamie here because she's been out of this world, but Sheeta's been a really good dance partner with so many people this year in big spots. We had rematches. We had Sheeta and Britt wrestled this year, I believe, in a pretty big match. And then we've had Tony and Sheeta. We've had Sheeta and Jamie. We've had Sheeta and Dee. We've had Sheeta and everybody. I think Sheeta and Thunder Rosa was this year. We just had so many different combinations where Sheeta's been in. Wow, that's a really great match moments that I can't deny Hikaru Shida for my AEW Women's Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, that's a really compelling case that you just made. I love Hikaru Shida and agree that she's had an underratedly great 2022. I'm leaning toward Toni Storm, and I know she didn't start the year in AEW, but I think her impact to that company, to that division, cannot be emphasized enough. I think when she became champion, the division was really starting to fire on all cylinders. Her debut, her in-ring work. Again, you mentioned a match with Shida. The other program she had, she fought Thunder Rosa at Forbidden Door. She was a staple on TV, right? Every Wednesday, you knew we were going to get Toni Storm. You knew we were going to get that hip attack move that looked so snug. Just Toni Storm for the hip attack alone, and then I think that's all I need to say. I love your pick of Hikaru Shida, but I think Toni Storm did some really wonderful work with that women's championship that I hope gets a lot of love.
You know what? There's one match I was looking at Shita's matches, and there's one that I caught earlier. It was in the summer. It was in June, and it was an Elevation. It was during the summer, so I was watching Dark and Elevation more regularly when I had time. And it was against Yuka Sakazaki. There's so many talented women that are on this roster, or at least wrestle with this roster, that I wish they had more screen time.
Me too.
But Shida, Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, hard to go wrong with any of those picks. Really, truly. Tyler, what is your biggest question for AEW going into the new year?
Yeah, well, let me start by saying I hope that we get a Forbidden Door 2. I don't know if that's confirmed yet. I try to stay on top of my interviews and my wrestling news, but I think the first one was such a massive success that and so many matches that didn't happen that we need to see. Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. Yes, please. Dare I say Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, maybe having a prominent Forbidden Door match? I'm not saying, but I'm saying. However, my question...
Sorry, just the thought of Mercedes Moné and Julia.
January 11th is near. Forbidden Door will also be here before we know it. However, my question, probably a less exciting note, is all about the Dark Order. I'm curious to know if the Dark Order is rejuvenated at all by our conversation this time next year on December 30th, 2023. Has the Dark Order been revitalized, or did it just evaporate? This time last year, Full Gear, right? November 2021, Hangman Page wins the belt off Kenny Omega. Dark Order celebrates with him in the ring. And for better or worse, Brad, I just think that was the payoff for the Dark Order story. Granted, Hangman wasn't an original Dark Order member.
No.
but I think the money was in that moment. And since then, the Dark Order it's weird, right? Because they're still on TV. We saw Hangman getting checked out backstage this week. John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno. They're there, and ostensibly they're still Dark Order, but we know Stu Grayson is gone. We know Ty J has moved on. Dark Order was
Alan Angels is gone.
Alan Angels,
Preston
thank
Vance
you.
took off his mask.
Cole Cabana is not featured weekly. Negative One is still